Hello everyone, it's Dakota. How's everybody doing today? Listen, we have update on Diddy's trial. Some of Diddy's charges have been dropped. What? Not all, but some of Diddy's charges have strategically been dropped. But first, I found this video. For those of you who don't know who Diddy is, let's remember who exactly he was.
So ready for a 73 question interview. You know the drill. Let's do this.
Let's do it.
Before we begin, how do I address you?
You can call me Love.
And you've referred to yourself differently over the years, so I gotta ask you, why so many name changes?
It depends on my mood, my vibe.
And Puff, where did that come from?
I can't tell you that.
Why'd you move to LA?
Oh, for the kids, the family, the weather.
What's the one thing you miss the most about living in New York City?
I miss the people.
Love, how do you describe yourself?
I'm vivacious, eccentric, and I'm a Scorpio.
What's one misconception about you?
There are no misconceptions about me.
What's your biggest strength?
My belief in God,
What's your biggest weakness?
fried chicken,
About that.
Best personal trait?
my compassion.
What's one thing you need every morning?
I need a hug.
I noticed your festive decor right over here. What are you going to be doing for the holidays?
Open up a whole lot of gifts.
What does family mean to you?
Everything is my tribe.
The ones who care so fiercely.
Okay, that is Diddy. For those of you who don't remember, or, well, he's been gone a while, who don't remember what Diddy looks like, that was Diddy back in the day before all of these charges and cases came about. Well, some of Diddy's charges have been dropped after 8-9 months of talking about his trial. It was a household name. It was a work name. It was a household situation. It was a work conversation. It was a water cooler conversation. And now, when we're getting to the end, by the way, that's Diddy right there in that picture, Little Miami. Ooh, I wish I looked like that. I used to, but not anymore. Some of his charges have been dropped. The feds have dropped some of Diddy's charges in the middle of the night, like thieves in the night. Three of the main charges have been dropped. Okay, and so they were some of the biggest charges that were dropped, and they were some of the most important and violent charges that were dropped. Okay, so listen, this is not a drill. This is not oh, I'm just talking, I'm just giving my opinion. Well, maybe this will happen. No, no, no. This is real time. Some of Diddy's charges have been dropped, and the charges that have been dropped are some of the charges that shows just how deep and dark this case not was, I guess is, because it's still going on, even though it's at the end and it's wrapping up. It was deep and dark, and these are some of the charges. This is some of the charges that were dropped to prove how deep and dark they were, or not prove, however you want to look at it. Okay, so what did I say in my last video? I said, when I talked about this Diddy case, I said, somebody please show me the proof. All of these people were coming up and testifying against Diddy or giving their stories to Tony Busby about things that Diddy did to them, horrible things like rape and sodomy and coercion, freak off, thugs, violence, you name it. The people who were talking to Tony Busby said, this is what he did to me. And I always said, well, could somebody show me the proof? Could somebody, I know everybody's talking, but I know time goes by and bruises heal, maybe not internally, but externally. So how would you prove it? Right? So I don't know. Maybe that's why these charges have been dropped. You notice I say that with a question mark because that is not why these charges have been dropped. Okay, so at first when I read it, I said to myself, oh my, the case is falling apart. Diddy might just walk. The government is dropping the charges left and right. So let's start from the top. I guess you say, well, Dakota, you keep talking in front of your mouth. Actually, what charges have been dropped? Well, I'm going to tell you. Attempted kidnapping, gone. Not just dismissed, gone, never to return. Attempted kidnapping, arson, Kid Cudi's car, gone, never to return. This is one, aiding and abetting SUL trafficking. You know, all those S workers that were testifying and saying, oh, we did this, we did that, I did this to Cassie, I did this. Cassie's everything, every hole in her body, everything. Well, gone, dropped, never to return. So you might say, well, it looks like the government's case is folding, is falling apart, but hold your horses because that might not be the case. Okay, that might not be the case. Okay, now this is the lowdown. Okay, this is the legal technical part. This is the lowdown. The reason that the charges were dropped, because all of those charges that I read to you, the attempted kidnapping, the arson, and the aiding and abetting of S traffickers, all of those charges were state level charges. Yet this is a federal case. So they were state level charges, and this is a federal case. Okay, the same state level charges that Diddy's team was arguing against. The states were California and New York. So they were under California and New York state laws. But remember, this is a federal case. Those are two different animals. And I did a little research this morning when I first heard about Diddy's cases being dropped. And sure enough, it says prosecutors say they will not move forward with arson and kidnapping allegations in Sean Diddy Combs' S trafficking trial to streamline jury selection. Streamline, remember that word because we're going to come back to that. To streamline. Okay, so listen, when I was just watching TV this morning, I was watching a podcast, and I'm not going to say the name of the podcast because I like the podcast, but it was two men and they were talking about the Diddy case. They were so uninsightful because they were saying, oh, these women like Cassie and Little Miami and Kim and all, all the people in Diddy's life, they were, I got some sun coming in oh, there you go. They were gold diggers. They were groomed and then they became groomers. They came back for more. They liked the freak offs. They were just going off, and this case was just to bring another black man down. As if they didn't see the video of Diddy beating Cassie in the hallway. How's that to bring another man down? Okay, I don't know. But that kind of sort of did it for me. I mean, I don't want Diddy to do life in jail if he's not guilty of all of these things. I don't want anybody to be in jail for life if they're innocent. But he's not innocent, Mr. Podcaster, of beating Cassie's ass. Okay? So the legal analysis, since all these charges were dropped, the legal analysis is trying to figure out what's going on. They took 9 months to get this case together. Diddy's sat in jail for 9 months. How are they dropping charges? But remember, they're dropping state charges, not federal charges. So this is it, okay? The case has been going on for 8 months. It was massive. Everybody was talking about it. The rich was scared. Ellen DeGeneres, what happened to her? Moving out of the country. The poor was scared because they were probably just hanging with Diddy just to be around money. And, people are moving out the country and running and hiding. And speaking of running and hiding, J-Lo, just hold on. I read somewhere where they may be coming for you. I hope not. But I read that somewhere, J-Lo. So let's see what happens. Okay. So to continue. Okay, so the charges were dismissed by the court, dropped by the government, and they were voluntarily dropped by the government at this point in the case. Voluntarily. They were not forced to. To me, it sounds kind of fishy. It sounds like something was definitely going on, some kind of strategic plans were going on. On one hand, you might say, well, is the case collapsing? Is Diddy going to walk? Was all of this done just to keep another black man down? Valid, because it went on for so long and now they're dropping charges. But remember, they dropped the state charges, not the federal charges. And that's the RICO charge, okay? Legal sources say that there's something about all these charges being dropped. There's more to it that meets the eye. And I believe them. I believe them. That's how I feel, okay? The feds are not dumb. And the feds are not going to just say, okay, after all we've been through, we're going to let Diddy walk. Okay, so maybe now the charges that were dropped were state charges, California and New York. Now, something you might not realize, maybe, just maybe, the feds will pick up those state charges. It can be done. The feds can pick up the state charges, and that would be a whole new ball game. A lot of people don't realize that. Like the podcast I was listening to this morning, all they were talking about was the women, how the women were wrong, using these rich men, knowing what they were getting into. But it goes deeper than that. Those same charges can be picked back up by the feds. So remember, the charges were arson, aiding and abetting, sexual trafficking, and kidnapping. Okay? Now, these are all serious, violent allegations, and they were crimes that manipulated people, where Diddy manipulated people. Now, why did the government drop these charges? Okay, so here is where the government's playbook comes into light. They always have a playbook. They always have a plan. They're a smart group, okay? The charges were based on state charges, not federal laws, meaning that the courtroom had to operate under state law while in a federal court. Confusing and messy, okay? So that would have gotten messy. So let's drop these charges and maybe the feds will pick them up, like I said. This would give the defense room to confuse the jury, or more importantly, cause a mistrial. Bam, there you go. That's why they dropped those charges. I think that the feds are going to pick them back up, but even if they don't, okay, the feds filed a Rule 29 motion, which says to the judge, there's not enough evidence to help the jury decide. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to take a hint. Rather than get stomped on by the court and embarrass themselves publicly, they decided to drop the weak link. And those charges were weak link because what they're going after is the RICO. And a lot of people don't know what RICO is, and I'm going to read to you what RICO is. RICO stands for Racketeering, Influenced, and Corrupt Organizations Act. It is a U.S. federal law enacted in 1970 with the primary goal of combating organized crime, particularly by targeting the leaders of criminal enterprises who might otherwise evade prosecutors by distancing themselves from the actual crime committed by their subordinates. And that's what they're going after for Diddy. They're saying, to heck with all this other stuff that we may or may not be able to prove. The RICO charges is what will get Diddy in jail for decades. That's what it was all about. The RICO charges. Okay. So, what they did is they cut off one of their legs to save the whole body. And there you have it. There you have it. That's why those 3 charges were dropped by a very smart group of lawyers. So by doing this, they protect the whole case, and they protect the whole case from going up into flames. Okay, they're trying to desperately make the RICO charges stick, because with the RICO charges, they only need 2 predicate acts to lock Diddy up for decades. And there you have it. That is why, oh my goodness, that is why the charges were dropped. Wow, it gets juicier and juicier by the moment. When I got up this morning and I read that, I couldn't believe it. At first, I was confused. I was like, that's it? He's off? He's walking? They couldn't prove anything? But no, to be honest, this is only the beginning. This is only the beginning. So this is Dakota, everybody. Do me a favor and please like, comment, and subscribe to my videos because you know I'm a new channel and I'm trying to grow. And I haven't been here in about a week and I missed you guys. And please go back and look at some of my other videos. They're very good, they're very entertaining, and they're very informative. And like I said, please like, share, and subscribe. And also, I always say at the end of my videos, I am a self-proclaimed painter. And at the end of my videos, I usually put up a picture where if you wanted to purchase the picture, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. And I can't find the picture, so forget about it. Okay, everybody, have a nice day. And oh, it's 101 degrees here in Pennsylvania today at what is today? Today is the 25th, June 25th, and it is 101 degrees. I am not going out until the sun goes down. All right, everybody, have a good day, and I will talk to you later.